On the battlefield, a warrior strides with unwavering resolve, bearing the king's weighty mandate. In his hand, a missive. In his heart, unwavering loyalty. In his eyes, the steely determination of a soldier who scorns death's embrace. Yet, unbeknownst to him, the very parchment he clutches seals his own destiny. His name is Urias. Uriah the Hittite was betrayed, not by an enemy, but by the one who should have protected his life, King David. What shocks us in this story is not only the cowardice of the secret letter, but the silence of the one who read it, the loyalty of the one who carried it, and the judgment of the one who penned it. Let us delve into this somber episode in Israel's history. Each verse is a window into the human soul, with its deviations, its falls, its hypocrisy, but also a testament to the fact that God sees beyond the written words. He reads intentions, he judges the hidden, and he exalts integrity even when it lies wounded in the field of injustice. Please provide the text you would like me to translate. I'm ready. The sin that writes in secret. In the morning, David penned a letter to Joab and dispatched it through the hands of Uriah. Sin, by its very nature, abhors the light, and thus it takes refuge in the inky shadows of expediency. When David beheld Bathsheba, his avarice blinded him. When he succumbed to her, pride steered his actions. Upon learning of her pregnancy, despair overwhelmed him. And then he penned a letter, not just any letter, a sentence, and more tragically it was delivered into the hands of the condemned man himself. The man, according to God's heart, now writes against the heart of a faithful man. The irony bleeds through this text. David, the anointed king, now manipulates the strings from the shadows to conceal an adultery, using the tools of authority entrusted to him to protect, not betray. This letter was penned in the morning. Sin, it seems, always hastens to stir with the dawn. It craves to erase its footprints before the light of day reveals its transgressions. How many letters are being written today? Not on paper, but in secret meetings, in words that assassinate reputations, in administrative decisions justified with the veneer of sanctity, but fermented in the vinegar of lies. What David failed to realize, and what many overlook, is that God reads what others do not. Uriah did not unroll the scroll, but God had already read it in heaven. The spiritual leadership that manipulates in silence carries a judgment that the people may never perceive, but which heaven will never overlook. Application for today. Treachery disguised as wisdom is folly in the eyes of God. Strategies that conceal flaws cannot evade the judgment that lays bare the soul. Every message of death penned in the name of honor is a bomb ready to detonate upon the altar. Be mindful of what you write with your influence. God not only reads, he also answers. Blind loyalty. Set Uriah at the forefront of the fiercest battle and withdraw from behind him so that he may be struck down and die. Urias carries his own sentence, but he harbors no suspicion. He is loyal. Loyal to a fault. A man so incorruptible that even though he could sleep at home beside his wife, he chooses to sleep at the palace gates alongside the king's guards, for his heart is with the soldiers on the field. This type of character is rare. Today, few are willing to sacrifice comfort for principle. Urias was not just a warrior. He was an exemplary figure. A man who does not harbor suspicion of the system's malice because his own intentions are pure. Verse 15 is stark. There's no poetry in it. Only blood, only cold calculation. David dictates the just man's death as though laying out a military strategy. He doesn't accuse him, doesn't judge him, doesn't even confront him. He simply orders his elimination. What lessons can we glean from Uriah? His loyalty made him vulnerable, but it did not make him foolish. His death was tragic, but his honor was eternal. He needed no stage, no speeches, no defense. His life was already a testament. Today, many Urias are being used as a shield for the sins of others. Honest people who bear burdens that are not their own. They are sacrificed in the name of someone else's reputation. They pay the price for errors they did not commit. Perhaps you are one of these people, but here's the truth. Even if the letter reads condemned, heaven writes faithful. If this message is reaching you, if you feel you are carrying burdens that others have placed upon your shoulders, I urge you to subscribe to this channel right now. Yes, subscribe now, because here we deal with truths that heal, not those that conceal them. Turn on the notifications, leave your comment. I want to hear your story. Share this message with someone who needs to be reminded that God sees integrity even when it dies in silence. I am here with you, and the sky is here with us too. The accomplice who accomplishes without confrontation. It happened that, having Joab surrounded the city, he placed Uriah in the location where he knew valiant men were positioned. Joab obeys without question, without argument, without hesitation. Here lies the drama of complicit structures. They function as silent gears, executing unjust orders to keep the system afloat. Jehu represents the person who says, "I'm just following orders," but God does not accept that excuse. You may not have written the letter, but if you carry out evil, if you condone wrongdoing, you are an accomplice. How many leaders today remain silent in the face of their superiors' mistakes solely to preserve their positions or perks? How many churches are aware of the letter but choose to avoid addressing the issue? Joab should have confronted David, but he chose convenience. He should have shielded the innocent, but opted to preserve his position. The same sword that removed Uriah from the path would later turn against David's house. For every leadership that remains silent in the face of evil reaps the ruins of silence. You need not write evil to be condemned for it. Mere execution is sufficient. Silence is the framework upon which sin is built. And God judges not only the schemer, but also the accomplice. Please provide the text you would like me to translate. The responsibility of the one who crafts evil. Then Nathan said to David, "You are the man." 2 Samuel 12:7. Time marched on. Uriah met his demise. Bathsheba became the king's wife. It all seemed settled. But God had not closed the book on the matter. God sends Nathan, a prophet who does not compromise, a man who fears not the crown, one who gazes upon the throne and declares, "Thou art the man." David did not wield the sword, but he held the pen that penned the sentence, and before God, that was enough to damn him. The letter was lost on the battlefield, but the heavens keep copies in their eternal archives. God saw the paper, God read the ink, God perceived the intent. Judgment did not fall upon Uriah, but upon David. For God judges not only the act itself, but the preceding motivation behind it. You may delete the WhatsApp message, but God has already read it. You can delete the email, but God has already seen what you intended. You may justify yourself to men, but you cannot manipulate heaven. David was forgiven. However, the sword never again left his dwelling, for grace forgives, but consequences teach. Uriah died with valor. David nearly lost his soul. The letter was from Uriah, but the judgment belonged to David. If you are a Uriah, God sees. If you are a Joab, there is still time to refuse. If you are a David, confess before Nathan comes to your door. And if you find yourself holding a pen today, be mindful of what you commit to paper, for even though the letter may leave your grasp, it falls directly into the hands of God.